Hello, everybody. We are back, and we are very honored today to have our very own Justin Grimm. And we also have Art. You guys are here from the new company Overtake, and we're
Mhm.
super excited to have you guys on and talk a little bit about it. As you guys know, Dave, Simply Subaru, is out in Colorado, and we are just super excited. I've been pumped to talk to you guys. I think that this is something that I've been wanting to do for a while, especially after I saw the flat iron tuning episode you guys did. It was great to kind of hear your backstory and how you guys kind of got to where you're at and some of the projects you guys are working on. So, I wanted to kind of get your guys' take on Boxerfest this year and some of the Subaru events because we did see you there. You guys had a great booth set up and you guys had a great spot, honestly. And I feel like these events are evolving and we're going from like 5,000 people to 7,000 people, and like clearly Subaru is seeing that people want the STI back and people who are enthusiasts buy other Subarus through these events, and that's why they're showing off things like the Uncharted at these events. So I was just curious, as you guys are starting to pick up, like coming to these events now, is it different than when you did them before, and how's it kind of feeling now?
Yeah, I can touch on that. So for me, I've had basically 2 years between Grimspeed and Overtake, and we used to go to every single one of the Subi events, me in particular, and then we kind of switched the rest of the team out. So I think for about 7, 8 years, I made it a point to go to every single one of those, and that point was I always thought of these as the best bang for your buck marketing expense, because by the time you send 2 pallets out, 4 guys, you pay for your tent and display material, you bring your product out. I mean, you might be 7, 8, 9 grand into a trip, and maybe you sell 3, 4, 5 grand worth of stuff, but it totally does not even out. They're a money loser every single event. But you have to step back and go, we just ended up talking to maybe 1,000 people face to face. There might have been 5, 6, 7,000 people there that saw at the time the Grimspeed name or now the Overtake name. And you do that 6 times a year within an event
Mhm.
season, and it's hugely impactful. And I just remember looking at other companies and going, I cannot believe that you're not doing 100% of these events. Like, where are you spending your money otherwise?
It's
Because,
Yeah.
it's a
yeah,
heck of a logistical thing though, Art. Like Art is excited. Let's do every single one. And I am right there with him, right? Like this is a priority that I've had from the very beginning. And when we're so grateful for Robert and Khan to do this and have this in our community. There's not very many, if any, other communities out there that have a national tour like this, right? Where it's a specific brand of cars and they're events of these
Mhm.
size. I think we might be the only one. Jeep has a few, but I mean
mhm,
it's
Yeah.
pretty large, right? And there's some big Corvette ones, but I don't know if they are at this level. But from the very beginning, this was a priority. And the biggest thing is, it's a money losing thing, but that's not like selling products. None of that stuff is why we go, right? It's to get off the keyboards and in people's faces and actually creating these relationships in person, right? But the hard part is it is challenging if you don't have like a team of 10 people doing events, right? Because like for us, we're in Minnesota. And so we have short summers. Most of these events are in the summer, season. And so you're asking these guys to like use up half their nice weekends in like a 5-month period, right? And so
Mhm.
when you have a small team, that is challenging and it's a lot to ask of people. And you have guys like Art who like there's no limit. He wants to go to every show he can, but not everybody's
mhm.
like that. And even for Art, I mean, it's even though he loves it, right? It's still a lot of work and the events are crazy,
Mhm.
like
Yeah,
and
yeah,
like
I love ice cream, but after, like,
yeah.
3 ice cream cones, I don't wanna see another one. So that's
So
Yeah.
kinda how it
that
feels towards the end of the
that's a great
season.
analogy. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah. And at least I'll give it to the Subi events guys, they've really spread the events out. I mean, they used to have Wicked and Boxerfest, it seemed like back to back or
Yeah.
with like a 2 weekend gap, and that was
Mhm.
really tough. And now the fact they
Yeah.
spread it, and we've got Florida, Subi Fest coming up, that's December 15th. So, I
Mhm.
mean, now all of a sudden it isn't sacrificing half or all of your summer. So I gotta give it up to them for the schedule
Yeah,
this
and
year.
that's perfect logistics because think about the weather in Florida in December.
Right.
It's fine, you know?
Yep.
Yeah. Which is crazy because our first snowfall here can be in October, and
Yep.
so the idea of heading out to an event December 15th is nuts, but yeah,
Mhm.
we get it. So but what and kinda what I wanna touch on is having been removed for 2 years and coming back to these events, one of the earliest conversations before we even press the start button on Overtake is, what events do we want to do? How many can we physically do? And you know, what are the where are shortcomings? I mean, money, that's the first thing. So how do we do it in an efficient way where we're spending the minimal amount? Best case scenario, we send out 4 to 5 guys, and we've got an engineer on hand, and we've got a photographer on hand, and we're you know, kind of creating media, we're selling product, we're talking to other vendors. That's best case scenario. And we said, well, we can't really do that because we have a 5-man team. Just that's what comprises Overtake, let alone the travel and event team. So really, for most of this year, it was myself and Owen, one of our other guys that went out. And then we figured out, you know, what are the most efficient ways to kind of advertise and get our name out there. You know, we needed a really nice tent from the get-go. So we're not going to mess with a 10 by 10 from Costco and then kind of move our way into something nicer. I mean, shout out to Justin for cutting the check for a nice custom tent right away. You know, you spend that up front, but you make a big splash. And then the same with the product that we were able to bring there. I mean, before we released the company, we already had 100 SKUs with an Overtake logo on them. And so we're not the kind of guys that are going to set up a tent and then there's nothing there for people to purchase or talk about or see. And so one of the most frequent comments I got, even from the first couple events, I think Wicked Big Meat was the first one this year, was, you guys look like an already established company. And we said, exactly, that's what we were going for with event number 1. So just to sum that up, for us, it's a gigantic deal. We put so many eggs in that basket, and we really put our money where our mouth was for this season.
Yeah, I gotta say,
Thank you.
First off, the cars came out awesome. They look absolutely sick, and I think that was like definitely worth the money. It makes me laugh when you say the tent, because Dave and I had a situation with Boxer Fest where we ordered the custom canopy, the whole rig,
It was really nice.
you know, table covers, everything,
Yep.
and they sent us the rig without the covers, and they came like a week later after Boxer Fest.
No.
So Dave and I made a last minute trip to Walmart, and we just got whatever we could just to like set up shop, like, you know. It's just,
Yeah.
At least
yeah,
we
know
wouldn't
all
be
about that
roasting in
too.
the sun all day long, because you can't do that.
yeah.
Exactly. Well, this goes back to logistics for the event season. I mean, both of the first events, pallet ended up in a different part of the country, and so
My
we ended up
gosh.
missing. We ended up missing local events. Well, we still went to them, but same story. We just went and grabbed a 10 by 10, and you kind
No,
of got to do
the
what you got
funny
to
part
do.
about that too is, so I don't know if you saw it post, but we just did some random thing. We painted our tent, or our show palette bright blue with Overtake logos. We'll paint a basketball hoop on the side, have some fun games, and it'll just be a marketing thing when we're there. It'll be in pictures. We'd never seen anybody do it, and so we do this. We paint it bright blue with logos all over it, and they lose it the very first time we see. Like,
Well,
My gosh.
it's not even that they lost it. I want to get your guys' take on this. You know what happened is the wrong courier picked it up at the end of the show, because afterwards there's maybe like 15 pallets hanging out, right? But the thing is, it has a bill of lading on it. So when you show up, let's say you work for FedEx and it says UPS on it, you keep moving.
Yeah.
So what had happened is a different courier loaded it onto their truck, and it ended up in a totally different warehouse. We
My
had to
gosh.
we were looking for camera footage to see who had loaded it up. Eventually we figured it out. We got a hold of it. They had our pallet. They go, yep, it's the bright blue one. And we go, can you ship it to us? And they sent us an invoice for the shipping cost.
Oh,
They wanted to bill us for getting it to
Oh.
their warehouse.
My God.
Yeah, and we paid because they held it hostage, and we had an event the next weekend. So
Holy.
that's just part of logistics. That's what I mean by it.
yeah.
It's people there. It's all the moving parts. It's having back-to-back events where you need to get everything back, broken down,
Yeah.
re-put it all back. But it's worth it. It's awesome. These events are amazing. We'll support them. We'll talk
Yeah.
about them the chance we get in the
Yeah.
community. Everybody.
My biggest takeaway with any one of these events is always, anytime I'm setting off for another event, in the back of my mind, there's always, what's gonna go wrong this time? And I think
Yeah.
we can all relate to that, because it doesn't matter,
Yeah.
big or small. I mean, hopefully it's a small thing. Like, I forgot my toothbrush. I can fix that. You know, I can go to Walgreens. I can pick up a toothbrush, no problem. But there's bigger problems that we always have to navigate, it feels like. And I think that's kind of the I guess, the challenge, and I guess somewhat it makes you more resilient in a way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. But we've talked about the downfalls that could happen. I want to talk about the successes of these events because 99% of it is positive. We like to joke around about situations or funny things that happen, but I mean, there's a reason we keep going back beyond just the marketing aspect of it. Like, I really enjoy these shows. As we grow, I want to build our team so we can provide a better experience for the people that go there. But I also want to get to a point how it was in the olden days when we as enthusiasts can get out of the booth. There's enough people to run it, and we can go enjoy the show. Because that
Yeah.
was one of the best parts is getting to walk around CB Fest for an hour or two and doing some media and photography and talking to vendors. But overall, man, these events are just such a positive thing. Everyone's having a
Yeah,
great time. Everyone's smiling. It's pure positivity for 8 hours straight.
Yeah,
agreed.
and I think that when all the drivers come out and everybody circles around the pit, I think that is like everybody's there and everybody's into it, and it's like, even the vendors are like, I got to leave the tent for 5 minutes just to go catch part of this, and it's like
Hmm.
that's why people are there. They love it. They're true enthusiasts. They want to see the cars do what they do. I thought this year bringing out the yellow cars was a really cool thing they did. I love yellow on Subaru,
Hmm.
so
Yeah.
but I think that it was a huge success. I think that, Dave and I did an episode on the slammed enough thing and how just logistically I can't imagine. Like, I can't imagine getting all your gear there, making all the sacrifices to make an event, and then it gets shut down for the whole weekend, and now all of not even sales, you're just not meeting anybody. It's over,
Right.
Hmm.
and it's like that's like such a hit. And so for you guys to say that you try to make every event, it's great that Subaru does such a good job of making it such a positive thing, because you guys are getting maximum exposure. You're getting tons of people that are there that are happy to come and meet you, and it's just like the whole thing is so positive. I love it. Um,
Yeah, and really, we're just doing everything we can to support the Subi Events crew because we feel like they're doing the hard job. Us showing up and waking up at 5 in the morning and being groggy and setting up a tent, like those are minuscule issues.
yeah,
The big
yeah,
issues are the rest of the logistics of this, and then also having to deal with Subaru, which I'm assuming like they've got this down, but they have such a major undertaking to get out there and get set up. And ultimately, it falls under Subi Events to be able to coordinate all that. And so I can't even imagine getting it done. And they nail it every single time. And it's never
Yeah,
stagnant either. It's not like let's rinse and repeat the same formula. There's always something new. It's a new car. It's a race car. They've got a new driver feature. They've got autocross now or whatever events. Like they're always adding or changing and making it exciting still.
um, Justin, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about. I saw a couple videos where you were starting Overtake and you were kind of talking about kind of coming into the light of now you're the front face of handling each customer. And because when you were working for Grim Speed, I think that you were one of the people in the background that wasn't as forward facing. So how is it now that you're going to these events and you really are out there and you're meeting these people, and like people know who you are like very clearly with this company?
Yeah, that's new for me. I mean, I started with a local Subaru club, so I was very active on the ground, just personally, right before even Grimspeed started, right. So I was in it at the beginning. It was before we're doing Subi events and that kind of stuff. But
Yeah.
then as you grow, right, my job changes. Like for better or worse, it becomes growing and running a business and all the thousands of things that you have to take, and some things you can't do. Like, so I was not a part of the events team as we got bigger. I was flying out to all this stuff because I simply just didn't have the like time in my life to do that. And and so my role in supporting Subi events was making sure we do it. So from a leadership standpoint is we will do this no matter what. Like this is one of the last things we take off the list. If everything's going to crap, right? We don't have any money, we're still gonna do this. So that's how I supported it without being physically there. And but now it's different. You're right. So it's I was never on camera. And so that first video that you saw, that was me for the first time. I literally I did one live session where I snuck in the office when Art was doing a Facebook live session one day like 7 years ago. That was the only time I was on camera, right? And so that was a new thing for me, and it wasn't easy. And But it's fun. Like once you get comfortable with it, and these events are overwhelming. They can be when it's a lot of people, but it's also extremely exciting, right? And so
Yeah.
it is a change. I mean, we still had events at the shop, right? So we had shows at our shop that I was there for. It was more just like these national events that were really intense that I wasn't at, and so, but it's fun. It's there's a lot of passion. You leave these shows or our events really jacked up, and so there's this core feeling that we all have of like, I can't believe we get to do this for our job, right? Like we we might not love every part of it, but there are a lot of people out there that really hate their jobs, like a lot. Like I'm 44. A lot of my buddies constantly complain about their jobs, and I just sit there quiet, like, yeah, they're stressed, but I get to do this, right?
Yeah.
And so when I leave those events or when I'm talking to 300 people in 2 hours at an event, it jacks me up more of like, this is freaking sweet, man. Like I get to do this. And then doing our Q&A sessions on, YouTube and talk for an hour about, I mean, it's fun. I'm glad I'm not leading it. Art, it comes more naturally to him, but I'm excited to be here on this front this time. I don't need all the attention, but it's fun. It's fun to at least be there in a little bit. So
I totally agree with that. I think that there is something special about working in this field, and not only that, but working in an enthusiast field. My background is mostly in Ford. For some reason, I keep ending up working for Ford somehow, and I I've ended up working in like high performance and doing stuff with like Shelby America and stuff like that, and like every time that an opportunity opens up, it's like the most amazing thing ever. And like you just get so excited. Like I got to fly out to Vegas and go to the Shelby factory and go behind the
Mm,
scenes and see what they're working on and do that kind of stuff. And like
mhm,
following NHRA and building engines, and like it was just like every step you don't really feel like you're working. And I
mhm,
think that with Subaru, it's another one of those brands that you just get that feeling. And Dave and I have talked about this a lot, which is like Subaru doesn't have a performance brand. So the nice part of it is it's not split. So the community is as big as it is because there's one brand. And I think that that's a big part of it, on top of the fact that the STI exists, and even if it is a loss leader, it's the brand. And the
mhm,
fact that they took it away, they saw how badly people wanted it to come back, and now it is. And I think that, for all of us that work in the Subaru communities and with people that are in these communities, you start to realize that like this is the heart of it. These people want these parts, they want to drive these cars, and they'll drive a brand new Forester, they'll drive a brand new Outback, but they want the STI. They want to have that as their weekend car. And even if they're not making a ton of profit on it, like that is the brand.
Or
So I think
secretly an STI version, I mean, who doesn't want an STI badged Forester? If
right?
Subaru were to come out with that and kind of make that a trim level, I think Patrick's right that across the board, what they've really made as a name branding across the board is STI. And to
Well, I
put
kind of have a
that
take on this.
badge,
I think one of the things that's made Subaru so special in particular, and we're talking about Chevy, Corvette. The Corvette guys kind of stick together and they love the generations, minus like the C8 has sort of become its own following.
yeah.
So like Corvette guys are Corvette. If you go to a Corvette meet, it's just 30 of those.
Hmm.
What do you see at a Subaru meet? You'll see like 15 different models of different generations. And I think that
Absolutely.
is what's so special. So you go
And
back
different
to
builds.
exactly. So let's just take the past 30 years. How many enthusiast models have we been offered? I mean, GC Imprezas, the GF8 wagons, SG Foresters, SF5 Foresters. That's just early generation stuff. Legacy sedans and wagons and cross. Like, I could go on and on naming all of these enthusiast models that have their own followings. But at the end of the
Hmm.
day, they also come together, and you can have owners throughout the generations own multiple models and have different interests within Subaru. Like I
Sure.
used to be big into the stance crowd. I could see myself going to a track stance or an off-road stance. I can do that with my car. I can pick up a different car. Whatever it is, you enter this ecosystem, and it's like you don't want to leave, but it's really hard to leave it because there's nothing else quite like it out there. The thing that I always compare it to is, I mean, who are the old rivals, Mitsubishi and Subaru? But look at the poor Mitsubishi enthusiasts. They got essentially Evo 8, 9, and then a 10. That's it. That's their 3 models that they
And
have
then
to
they started
constantly.
making Outlanders, and that was it.
Exactly. So they
Yeah.
discontinued it at 10, and they just keep having to go into the circle of these models. But with Subarus, not only do we have everything to fall back on, but we have, I'm hoping, a bright future to look into as well.
I agree.
Yes, it's been 30 years. It's going to be another 20 plus.
Yeah, and I something that I had heard you talk about art before was the fact that Subaru didn't really have anything geared towards Formula Drift until the BRZ came along.
Mhm.
And we did a whole episode on the fact that there are no Subarus in Formula Drift right now. And the fact that it is part of their brand that is lacking, but at the same time, they've always been known for all-wheel drive, so it doesn't really hurt their brand that they're not in it. And I think that for you guys, designing different parts for these cars and things of that nature, it opens up a whole nother realm of like, what do Subaru people need now if they're going to go drifting? And
Mhm.
so I think that not only does it help Subaru, but it kind of helps you guys in the fact that like it opens up another realm of like, what do these people need for these cars now if this is what they're going to be doing? And, I know we've seen people turn all-wheel drive Subarus rear wheel and things like that, but if that starts to
Guilty.
become more the norm, then it becomes a little bit more of a let's figure this out and make some stuff, you know?
Yeah, so I have a couple thoughts about BRZs in particular. They are sort of an odd duck in the mix. They're really a Toyota. If I mean, it stemmed from the partnership, right? It's got a Subaru Boxer engine, but that's a total Toyota. Because look at all the other offerings. It's all-wheel drive and four-door, and you have to go all the way back to the GC Impreza to get something that looks sort of similar. And
Yeah.
and I agree. I think it's perfect for the drift scene. It's perfect for like stance, and even now that the first generation is getting super cheap rolling chassis, you're seeing them in drag with high horsepower LSs. They've
Mhm.
kind of transcended all motorsport. And I think it's a really special chassis. The one thing in its stock format is you can't really make power on it. In Subaru, the formula was always okay, the enthusiasts are buying the turbocharged EJ Subarus. So as parts manufacturers, let's just make performance parts for those. That way people pick them up, they spend money with our company, they make 50, 100 horsepower, everybody's happy. But then all of a sudden the BRZ you couldn't do that with. So
Yeah.
now that they've had a first and a second gen, and it seems like rumor has it that Subaru and Toyota are kind of splitting off, but a third
Mhm.
gen could potentially be made. Um, leaves us an opportunity to focus on underbody, suspension, handling, all of that stuff that we wouldn't traditionally do, in addition to the stuff that we would also do. So I
Yep.
think the enthusiasts are going a little bit more towards handling characteristics and underbody, and a little less focus on power adders, especially on those chassis.
Yeah. No, I totally agree with that. Um, it's interesting because we're also seeing people like Travis Pastrana start to make things like the ARA, like Rally, a little bit more affordable, and you're seeing people get in at a lower level. And so those people are
Mhm.
now requiring rally parts and things that they need to up their vehicles at a lower level, which opens up a whole bunch of other doors. Um,
Mhm.
it's really interesting how this is all playing out because I feel like Subaru is kind of investing in all of these different areas, but they're kind of touching here and there. And it's almost like we're starting to see it bloom into what it's going to be in the next couple of years here.
Yeah,
Um,
that was a concern of ours, before we decided we want to get back into Subaru, right? Is man, it seems like it's not going the right way lately.
yeah,
So
And this was 2 years ago, or
yeah,
however long, when we first started exploring
yeah,
what we
yeah,
wanted to get back into.
it
yeah,
was, but it was like to me, it was okay. We have 25 years of cars, give or take,
hmm,
that we can support. So how I handle that risk of what if Subaru kills the WRX and is just totally doing SUVs that off road, maybe a little bit adventure as they're calling it now, right? Can we still like run a company? Like can we sell enough parts to bare minimum keep the lights on, allow us to do these jobs, and ultimately I made the decision right up. Okay, let's say in 3 years they kill the Deborah X and the performance is totally gone. We will support 30, 25, 30 years of Subaru, and that's what we'll do. And we'll make a career out of that. And we'll be here like we were the last 20 years, right? And so now in the last few months, even 6 months, it's like, okay, the ARA thing, that was the first thing that I saw that I'm like, okay, they still know what they still have this passion for this, and they still understand why they should be doing this. And then obviously last week,
Mhm.
the BSTI and the way, even though that was very lackluster of a live stream, right, Art, it was just like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then we saw the B come up a few hours later in the middle of the night when everybody's freaking out. But even during that, the whole live stream was performance. Like if you look at all the images in the back,
Mhm.
so much of it was performance based. And
Yeah,
and
and I
so
made this point that the message was performance and adventure, and it could have been efficiency and sustainability. And if
Yeah.
they would have said those two words, I
Yeah.
would have clicked the live session off.
Yeah.
But they
Yeah.
didn't. They went a completely different route. And also, they could have just hit really hard on the adventure side and said wilderness is just taking over. And then maybe we would have had to pivot as well a little bit. But
More
man, they hit it
overland.
hard on performance.
Well, I
Yeah.
think too, they're seeing, right, even though the Focus has gone away, they're seeing the Yaris hatch doing really well over in Japan. They're seeing the Corolla hatches doing really well in the US. They're seeing all of these hatchbacks come out of the woodworks that are doing really well. And they're like, hey, we did that once and it went really well. Why are we
Mhm.
not doing this again? And
hope they're thinking that exact thing. Like, having a STI hatch versus GR Corolla, that is what we need. That's the Evo versus STI that helped like our industry flourish. You got to have that
Yeah.
competition. So to have, let's say they put the 4-cylinder in the Corolla and we're nearing 400 horse, right? Now we're talking like Subaru gets theirs, Toyota has theirs, and we go head to head. That is the best case scenario in my opinion. Is have
Yeah,
this intense rivalry.
I wouldn't have said this 6 months ago, but I will now. I used to always see Subaru and Toyota as partners. Now I want them to be rivals because I wanted
Mm.
them to partner and get along so that they would create great things for the enthusiast market. But then I realized that being rivals is what actually drives the great things to come out. Because if everyone
yeah,
gets complacent and they're all friendly and no one's trying to beat one another in power or looks or drivability, then you just get like really lackluster offerings. Nissan
yeah,
with Subaru and Toyota, I mean, yeah, if the BRZ and FRS are sort of separating, right? So to
yeah,
me, there's a sign there that they're leaning more towards the rival side. And now,
Yeah.
okay, Corolla 4-cylinder, like you said, potentially 400 horsepower, TI Concept B, 350 to 400 horsepower. Those are competitors. So it's gloves
yeah.
off.
So something I just wanted to show you guys. We talked about this before when we just did the episode on the new STI that came out. Dave and I actually called this like months ago. We were messing around with AI. We were trying to come out with what was like a new Subaru hatchback and what it would look like. And this is actually what we ended up coming up with.
Wow.
And
So when was this?
so this was what, Dave, back in maybe April, back in March or
Yeah.
April. We were messing around with if Subaru made a performance brand like
Mhm.
Acura, what those cars would look like. And we were
And we
toying
gave it a lot
around
of
with
prompts like hatchback and things, to
Right.
direct it.
we made like something close to like a Q50, like an Infinity SUV. We made something
Mhm.
close to like a Forester, like, and when we came to making an STI version, we were like, it has to be a hatchback. It's got to be something that looks like this. And with the wing and the front end and everything, even I were sitting here when they revealed it, and we were
Yeah.
like, oh my God, we nailed it. It was like
But
spot on.
you know what's funny is I think you nailed it, but also you might have nailed it more than you think because we got the concept, right? The wing was way too big. It had a bunch of exaggerated stuff. So the production
Mhm.
model, if it does happen, is going to be more restrained. And I think this will look even more like the production model than it looks like the concept beat.
And
Yeah,
we got the Brembos right and everything. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
I
And
agree
the
with
shape
that.
of the hatch. Because if you would have asked me a month
Yeah.
ago, like where are you going to put your money? What are they going to use for the chassis? I would have said that they're going to repurpose the Lavorg and throw a 6-speed in that.
Yeah.
And
Yes. I
clearly,
want a little
I
more.
mean, they did Impreza and Crosstrek, right? And I think in this rendering, that to me is an Impreza or Crosstrek chassis, not a Lavorg.
Yeah. And I think that it was going to be a little bit more rounded in the rear because
Mhm.
to me, I was envisioning like a Volvo C30 shaped rear end, but with
Mm.
this with the normal Subaru trunk, like a Crosstrek or something like that. and just give it a little bit more of that egg shape, but still with the new STI front end, you know?
Right. No, you guys did a great job. I can't believe that. Yeah, it
Yeah.
looks.
We were laughing just because we knew that we did this, and we were like, man, how close was that? Like,
Yeah.
um, but so I just want to pivot here. I got a couple things I want to get through. So I just wanted to tell you guys about my first experience with Grimspeed 11 years ago
All right, let's hear it.
so I bought my first WRX. I convinced my dad that this white O2 wagon was the end all be all. I was like, I gotta buy it. We went there. It was making all kinds of turbo noises and like clearly was just everything you can imagine was touched on this thing.
Mhm.
And the one thing that the kid told me was
Clapped
that
out.
it had,
Yeah.
he said it had a Grimspeed boost controller, but he had sold it. And so the car was running awful. And so I had hit you guys up and I was like, hey man, like I just bought this car, you know, like I really need a boost controller. I was like, I just spent all this money on this car. And so I think it was Justin who had hit me up and he was like, listen, man, we're going to send one out. And he like totally hooked me up and I got it in and it was running fucking mint. And I was like, this is amazing. So dude, from all the way back then, I was like, this is amazing. This, like, you know,
Yeah.
you guys were already so well known at that point, and I think it was just like it went to show how well you guys uphold your stuff. So
Yeah. I mean, you hit on one of our core things. So there's Art and I click on a lot of things, and that's why we work so well together. And one of those things is how you treat people. And I always say we always have these companies, like we're all consumers, whether it's cars or clothes or whatever it is, right? We're consumers. And when you find companies um, that treat you really well and bend over backwards to like they're like seeking out ways to surprise you with their service. I want to support that company, right? Like I want to, you know, like
You
and
remember
so
that.
you remember that, and in an enthusiast community, that is part of the beast. The beast is the community, right? Like that is a way we can give back on our job is to be really good stewards of the community. And by our jobs, it's having amazing customer service. People are stressing out, their car is broke, or they bought other competitors' product that had something wrong with it and it broke. Our job is to make these parts over engineered, right? Like they will fit amazing, they will last longer. But if there is issues, we are there and we're bending over backwards. That's something that Art and I like, we just click. And that has been really, really a big bonus to Grimsby to have an Art like understand that. And we have other guys that understand too, but to the level of Art, it's a special thing. And so since the very beginning, I love that story because it's you needed one quick, we got it to you, you're back on the road. That is like quintessential what we try to do all the time. And it's
Mhm.
easier to do when you're small. And
yeah,
let's just say it's Art and I answering phones. Every conversation is going to be like bend over backwards, right?
Mhm.
But as you grow, my job, we talked earlier about how I couldn't get out to events or be the face of the company. Maybe one of my jobs was as we grew, and we had 7 people answering phones or whatever. Each one of those people understood our values and who we
Mhm.
are as a company and
Mhm.
maintaining that here. So that was one of the biggest challenges of all was maintaining that special sauce. And so anyways, off my
yeah.
soapbox on that, but that
No,
story
you're
is
good.
I appreciate it because that's what we try to do all the time. And it's hard to consistently do it as you grow.
Yeah. Well, I
Yeah,
want
I
to
mean,
personally thank you for making the world's thickest Subaru gaskets.
As soon as,
eh,
as
Known
soon
to
as he
man.
said,
Thank you.
as soon as he said
Thank you.
thickest, I knew what he was
Humbly.
talking about.
Because Lord knows we've all been there, you know, in some capacity where you're trying to work with some Chinesium up pipe or something, you know, and it just
Mhm.
doesn't want to seal. And we're past the point of putting a bunch of exhaust paste all over the place. And mark my words, and not saying that was what the intent of your design was. You guys clearly make the best gaskets we've ever experienced. But that is one of their unsung hero features that we've experienced as a shop is when you have that exhaust pipe that somebody supplied, customer supplied from eBay that just will not steal and is just dumping exhaust. And you're like, all right, look, I got one other shot. I got to sell you this $20 gasket. And they hoo and haw and they look at you like you're crazy. $20 for an exhaust gasket. The one from O'Reilly's is $4.99. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Well,
It's
but I'll be
surprisingly enough,
damned, you guys have
all the
not only
years-
saved us massively, so many headaches, but also our customers in those rare instances have been elated. Again, that's not the only instance where we use your guys' products, but that is one that we've encountered where nothing else will suffice but a Grimsby gasket on a Chinesium, exhaust piece. But you guys knocked it out of the park there.
Well, I appreciate that. What I was going to say is with gaskets, I think in all my years of selling those things, first of all, they kind of sold themselves because the quality speaks for themselves. And people, this is the great thing about the Subaru enthusiast community is that word gets around. Like we market proactively, but also once a certain feature gets adopted by the community, everyone finds out about it. It spreads like a rumor, right? And so the quality of those gaskets spread really quickly. And I don't think in all of my time I've ever had anyone, for the most part, make a negative comment like, these are too expensive. You're getting your money's worth out of them. And now with Overtake, with our gasket lines, that was one of the first things we wanted to drop right away and reestablish that foothold. And already, I think our gaskets have some of the most positive reviews out of anything else. And it's like, the smallest little object that we take for granted sometimes, but it's things like that. Like, yeah, my up pipe's not, or my, let's say, down pipe's not fitting. I'm so thankful that you have a 2 times thick gasket that can fill that void. Otherwise, it'd be a massive leak.
Yeah,
and then now we're expanding. Exactly. And to be able to expand into every gasket that EJ and FA engines need, plus have kits, and we're constantly expanding on it. Like, yeah, we're happy to be known for the quality of those.
Due to other circumstances, I've had to take my engine out for other circumstances multiple times. I won't lie, I've got Grimsby gaskets on my car. I haven't replaced them and I've reused them several times and they're still fine.
Well, I will say that, the multi-layer steel gaskets are reusable. I'll also say next time you take them out, we're sending you Overtake gaskets.
Yeah.
Okay.
I had what?
So
Got you
just
guys.
DM us,
Yeah.
us, and we'll take care of it. Okay?
No, but
Thank
I
you
think
guys.
that the point is what you bring up there is with the double gasket. That only comes to be because we're all car guys and we're all wrenching in your cars, right? So being in it, being customers ourselves, and really passionate about this hobby of ours allows those exact things to happen, right? It wasn't just by accident that particular gasket, we wanted to make sure we made a double thick, right? It was early on. We're like, this is totally ridiculous, but let's make this because I think it's going to solve. And it's not just Chinese stuff, right? So when you're welding a thick flange to a thin tube, right? Like it's just things are going to happen. And so it's anything you can do to just make up that difference.
Absolutely.
It's not really even about China. It happens a lot, but it's just about welding flanges onto tubes. And there's challenges there for some people. And then even for us, to get in production environment a long time ago, we had to work through some of those nuances, right? And so that helped us understand, like, well, maybe, the companies that they don't have such attention to detail as we do for these things, they could use a gasket like this. And don't get me started on waffle gaskets. I couldn't believe even to
Oh my God, no.
I was going to mention, I cannot believe that there are, and I won't name them, but there's competitors out there that provide a decent pipe and the worst gaskets you could possibly match with them, to the point where people buy their product and then go to us to buy the gasket.
Can you imagine spending $1,000 on a catback and getting waffle gaskets?
Crazy. Absolutely crazy.
That's why we proudly stock the good gaskets, and we get a lot of customers that call us. They're like, hey, do you have the gaskets in stock? Because I'm not trying to wait. It's Friday. I'm trying to put my exhaust on or whatever. Yeah, come on by. We got them.
I think this proves that the gaskets aren't sexy, right? Like, an engineering wise, like about as least sexy as you can get. But there's still a way you can add value and contribute to your community, even with a gasket.
Very well said.
And we talk about, and Art loves this one, that story of our taillight peg, right? Like this little stinking peg. See, he loves it.
Hate these things. I'm just kidding. I've learned to love them.
We clearly love over-engineered stuff. Like spending a year and a half working on this little part to make it, like, we're perfectionists on every level, right? Like, we love that stuff. It's part in our DNA to like seek out every issue it could possibly have and try to account for that, right? But even in the smallest things, we try to do like new things, right? And so even it's hard 25 years in to come up with something totally new. That just is.
Yeah.
In 2006, when I started, a lot easier. 25 years later, with hundreds of companies and a lot of talented engineers and product people doing stuff, it's a lot harder, right? And so, but the taillight peg is one of them. It's like, who didn't think of this? And it simply started because we bought a VB with aftermarket taillights. Okay. When I went to take them off to put the OEM ones back on, one of the pieces broke. It's plastic. The peg. So on the VBs, it's like a male female, right? It's like there's no, it's not
I know
bolt.
exactly what you're talking about.
Press fitting. Well, guess what? That plastic piece is not serviceable. You cannot buy that piece from Subaru, right?
Mm-hmm.
So so the VB, right? It's 4 years in. So nobody's thought of, you have to buy an entire taillight to replace this pin.
Crazy.
Boom. Easy.
Insane.
Draw one
Well,
out.
and after we put them
works.
out, the
Yeah.
message was always, I've just put it back in and I've got wobbly taillight. And then it was like comment after comment. Yeah, my taillights are wobbly. Mine are wobbly. And that was the norm instead of the norm being, well, I'll pick up the
Fix the
metal
problem.
version. Yeah.
Crazy.
But the point is here, like, we're talking about these easy products and ignoring all the advanced, complicated ones. But even in the smallest things, you can contribute. And so we're not making any hardly money on a $10 peg, but now there's a solution, right? And so we all 5 of us at the shop right now, that is like a core to us. Is what's the next taillight peg, whether it's a majorly complex thing or is something as simple as the double gasket or the taillight peg. So those things are fun too.
I think, I before we had this podcast, I scoped out your website, and you guys have a ton of gaskets on there. You guys have like the whole lineup. I saw the peg on there. I know you guys talk really highly about the Hello Horns plug that you have for that whole setup with the bracket. And, a lot of the stuff that you have is like really useful. And I feel like it's the niche little intricacies that really make the product. It's the way that you guys design it and the way that you look at it from a different angle and say, well, like, why are we doing it this way when it could be better a different way?
I'm going to give you an example with the Hello Horn harness. I mean, on those VBs, the ones that were out on the market were like a spade connector, essentially. So they created this, they put that connector on, they said, this is good enough. And then we said, well, why not take the extra time and a little bit extra cost to make a proprietary connector that looks OE, that does that OE click that we all like, and just makes you feel nicer. They're going to function the same way. I guess you could argue that our connector's a little more protective of, like, here in Minnesota where we have ice and salt and everything on the roads. But point being is a lot of places, right? We took that extra time and cost in order to design it. And then I would say come into the market extraordinarily late because these harnesses have already been out for previous generations. But I would also say we've got the best one in the market at the same price point. So why wouldn't you buy it?
Yeah. And that's I remember when we were working on that, when we first saw the spade connector, our thought of all of us sitting on our desks, we're like, we're better than that. Not not Overtake, but like as a community of aftermarket companies. We can do better, you guys. And I enjoy talking about this, not to like boast about our ability to solve problems. I like, so if any other people, any companies are watching this, right? Or any guys that want to get into this and start making products, this is the backbone of how you do it. You need to be adding value and thinking outside the box, right? So I love talking about this stuff to hopefully inspire anybody else that it is as easy as just thinking of a new idea. And you can have a small, tiny website that you're maybe an engineer, or maybe you just know how to kind of be one, even though you aren't. Be thinking about these things because it truly progresses our community, right?
Yeah,
and so
totally.
I could talk about that, innovating in the smallest ways all day long, and try to inspire anybody else to do it on their own as well, because it just helps us all out. It helps the shops out without wasting hours, right?
Yeah.
This actually kind of circles back to the customer service principles. Is it makes your job a hell of a lot easier as a customer service rep if the product is good, because you sell 100 of them and 99 of them are problem free. Dealing with one issue in a positive way is really easy. And even eating the cost of that, if it's
Mhm.
if it's if it's a product failure, cool. If it's somebody else's fault, whatever, just eat the cost, get it to that customer, have them have a good experience, and move on. But there are companies where I can imagine that 20-25% of their product that leaves the door has some sort of issue that has to be
Mhm.
addressed. And eventually, as a customer service rep, you either get overwhelmed or disassociated or whatever, and all of a sudden the customer service takes a hit. So it's this
Well, those
like,
companies just change names. Let's be honest.
yeah, yeah.
Let's be honest, brutally. They don't have to deal with the customer service. They just change their name and they come out with another name and the same exact product.
Yeah, I think once you've been in the same community for long enough, you get to see that. If it's been 10, 20 years, so somebody coming in, it's only been in for a year or two, they don't see the cycle. But the longer you're in,
Mhm.
you see that exact cycle. All
Yep.
these pop-ups, everybody might be talking about this brand because one of the big dealers is pushing them, right?
Yep.
Everybody's talking about for 5 years. And then all of a sudden they're like gone. It's because
Yep.
of that exact reason. But you
Happens.
can't, you don't know that's happening unless you're in it for a lot longer and just can kind of see that cyclical behavior.
Yeah.
Well, I think these companies actually go into this with that mentality, knowing we're only in
Yep.
it for 1 to 5 years, and it
Mhm.
reflects in a lot of their practices. And that's the polar opposite of what we do. We came into it on day one going, okay, it is day one. What does 10 years from now look like? And how do we build the foundation to get there? So that's all the back end stuff and the website, and then like who we hire for the team and all of it. But I think at the basic level, it starts with just the product quality and the product offerings. What are we going to put out there, and at what quality?
Something I wanted to touch on with you guys. Um, I believe Chase still works with you guys, Chase
Mhm,
Trogan.
Yeah.
mhm. We just had
So
dinner with him yesterday.
yeah.
A little celebratory thing for Overtake.
So Chase was the senior engineer on the turbo design for the Chase and Overtake Turbo.
Mhm.
Now, does that open up a future for you guys in turbo and moving into like front mount designs? And as growing up, I mean, the Grimspeed front mounts were just everywhere. You always saw the name. And I feel like that was a big part of your brand, was also these kits that you guys put together. And I feel like when you guys entered the turbo game, you guys made such a good quality product.
And now, like the easy stuff, like front mounts, top mounts, yes. So that's been a hard thing because the speed at which it takes to make a custom product is slow. And nobody understands that length of engineering time from the day we go, hey, well, let's make this to when it actually comes out,
Yeah.
right? And I was just looking at the engineering sheet this morning. It was I guess I don't want to say it, but it's a common pipe that VA and VB both have. We've already made it. We already made it before at the old company, and we've been working on it since March. Okay, and it's an easy pipe, small casting, connect welded onto it, like easy. But because we're starting from the ground up, and it literally takes like 8-10 months to do, right? And so we've kind of had this theme of questions like, when are you going to come out with like bigger stuff? Like, are you guys going to do this stuff? You haven't been the first person to ask about that, right? My
Mhm.
response is the same as, we've been working on it this whole time.
Yeah.
You just haven't seen it got released because gaskets are much quicker,
Yeah.
and silicone hoses and hood struts are much quicker. All we have to do is, we know the specs of all the struts because we've already made them. We just need to CAD up all the fittings and the brackets and all that stuff. It's much easier, right? And so, yeah, turbos is a different beast. So we are so underwater right now financially. It's starting up, just inventory
Yeah.
wise.
Yeah.
It's crazy that the thought of turbos are super capital heavy. So when you're working with one of these major suppliers and they're making a custom product for you, your buy-ins are giant. Like
Yeah.
the biggest of all for turbos. For us at Grimspeed, it was the biggest. That's all. There wasn't a close second. And so we had the backing of APG, right? And now we don't. It's the backing of me and a couple guys. And
Yeah.
so we have the knowledge. We've done it successfully. We know what needs to be done. It's just, do we want to drop 7 figures on a product, or can we? Right now, the answer is no. We can't even do that.
Yeah.
But the answer is unknown. Like it's just not even. It's so far in the future for me because we need to like create a successful brand to get the funds to do that, to even
Yeah.
think about it. But back to Chase, though, he's just amazing. He's been there's a reason there's a few guys here I asked to come back with me at the very beginning. I'd like to hire almost everybody back that I can that lost their jobs. That's a mission of mine.
Yeah.
But there's a reason that Art's here and Doug and Owen and Chase is because they're the all stars, right? Like that's the start of it, and then we grow from there. And to have Chase be on this journey with us since 2011, he came in when we were about 5 years old. Has just been amazing, and he is just he has such a large depth of knowledge of not just engineering but the Subaru world for being in it so long, and we're so thankful to have him still be around and join us on this new adventure.
Well, I think that something for me that I love about this company is just the fact that I'm a big proponent of keeping the same people that know what they do right. And the reason that people fell in love with the products to begin with is the people who designed them and made them the right way. And I think that it's really cool that you guys kept somebody who actually took this project start to finish and created this great product that everybody loved. And now you have him and he's got open box, he's ground up, figured out what's a new way we can do this. He's already done it one way and it was a great success. So the next way he does it, it's going to be a step up from there. I think that it's just always great to see how that kind of evolves and seeing what he comes out with next and how you guys kind of come around him, moving forward. I think obviously turbos are something that's like well in the future. But I was going to bring that back around to something else that you guys made, which I'm a little bit on the fence of, like, it's been done a lot, which is AOSs. And you guys created a very compact one that was, very useful. I think that IAG just like pumps AOSs out like every day, you know. But my question is with things like that kind of product where somebody grabs a foothold on it and you guys took it and ran the other way and made a more compact version of it. Is there more to design in that realm, or is that something that you think has already been tapped out and now it's something that like guys like you would be like, we're not going to redesign the wheel on this. Like, let's move into a different area.
We'll touch on AOSs because, if there's any connection to customer service, that product was by far the most headache, pain point product. One was because it was kind of a difficult install. So I would say like 1 out of every 10 emails was, what did I do wrong? How do I install this? Help me. And they would just send a picture of a bunch of hoses and fittings. And you're like, how do I even walk you through this? Like, do you want to buy a plane ticket so that I can go over there and install it for you? Because I'll do that.
I can
that
agree.
might be easier than walking you
Can't
through
see
it.
through the phone. I'm sorry.
Yeah, exactly. But more so than that, and I think why IAG kind of ran off with the AOS market is because we made it for a specific type of car and person, and they are a totally separate product. Like, I separate those two AOSs. The GS AOS was for healthy running cars with some amount of blow by. All EJ engines have a little bit. If you take your manifold off and you tip it and like a puddle of oil runs out, that's not when you need one of those AOSs.
Yeah.
That's when you need an engine rebuild.
Yeah.
But at minimum, a heavier duty units. I feel like those two products, they did do a really good job of fitting the needs. Healthy engine cars, semi-healthy engine cars for the IAG, and then you have the cars that just need a rebuild that nothing will solve that problem.
Agreed.
The idea of it, exactly. So like, what do you come out with now that, as far as I'm concerned, there's only that subset of people that need the niche filled with a product, and you can't create an AOS good enough to fix that. And so in my mind, AOSs haven't even popped up on my radar, but I don't know, conversations with Chase and you, Justin, maybe?
Yeah, I mean, that's a tough one for me. I mean, it's interesting to be on the back end to see what's actually happening. So like Art said, that was the most controversial, like I'd say the most negative feedback product we ever made. Because we felt like it was being used wrong. We didn't stop making it because as many times I would say it when I'm talking to people on the phone is a vast majority of people, it worked perfectly. Like, and it didn't stop. Like, so we'd have all this, like these forums in NASDAQ blowing up, right? Of like, this doesn't work. It's overwhelmed basically. Why are you making this? And my answer would be like, a vast majority of people, it's working just fine. I don't know what to tell you guys. It's not appropriate. So I'm not going to stop making it because it's actually working very well for like your average car that's in decent health. And so, but I liked it. It was a clean, compact way to even though the install had 3 hoses, but it was easy. It was on top of the filler, and it was just a simple product. And then, I think IAG had that success off the back of Grimspeed's kind of failure on that higher blow by engine, right? Like so yeah, actually, I think, all right, I know the solution. We come out with our old, small, simple, easy one, and then these 2 guys answer the customer service phone calls.
Yeah, they have to deal with it. Well, what you said about engines not getting up to temp, that was probably the number one thing that people would say, "Well, this isn't working right." And I go, "What's your commute?" And they're like, quarter of a mile, half a mile." And I go, "Well, that's part of the problem, man. Your car's not even getting up to temp. I mean, even if it gets up to temp, things are just not circulating, and you're getting condensation, and that you're sitting overnight in 20 degrees. It takes more
And
than
that
5
happens with
minutes
an
for that stuff."
OEM system, but you just don't see it.
Exactly, exactly. So they take the cartridge off and you have the yellow gunk on there and they go,
Mhm.
"Okay, this isn't doing anything." And I go, I mean, yeah, you make a valid point, but you're also not it's not in the right conditions.
Pull your factory PVC hoses off, or
Yeah.
PCV hoses off, and I
Yeah, yeah.
guarantee you they look the exact same.
I think that was a
Yeah.
big part of the customer service was when we came out with that product, you could see exactly with that. Like, you never saw it before. And
Yeah.
Mhm.
that question of it happened every winter, right? Like, there's always like a seasonal thing. We'd be
Yeah,
like, "This
especially
is
here in Minnesota.
My AOS looks like this. This isn't
Yes.
normal."
Yeah.
It's always like that. You're
You
just
just
not
never saw
taking
it
off the
before.
AOS.
I always say famously the access port we can all agree on is famously not knocking cob, in any way, but
Mhm.
its nickname is the worry port because guys that don't know what they're doing or what they're looking at pull up feedback knock, find knock learning, and they
Yeah.
just watch those. Well,
Yeah.
I saw a 1.2. My engine's blown, right, guys? What?
Yeah.
No.
If you guys make another AOS, they're gonna be like, Art, which hose goes to the alternator? I don't understand.
I know. To circle back to the original question is, I mean, no products are off the table, especially, looking into a long and hopefully fruitful future.
Sure.
But yeah, there are definitely lower hanging fruit projects that we want to tackle. I mean, our list is how long? It's a 50, 70 to do
Yeah, like,
products.
people like to hear this kind of stuff. So, like, active in engineering products, we're 45 right now. So, like, 45 projects are active. We have about
Hmm.
20 that we call on deck, which is like we pick from next. We've decided that's the next. And then we have literally like 60 to 80 more we're going to get to, or customers have set. So, like, on the website, we have a submit your product suggestion, whatever. We get those in, we review them every engineering meeting on Tuesdays. Some of
Oh,
those
we'll
get
send you
added.
some.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, please, please.
Honestly, this is
I joined the Facebook
I got some
group
ideas
today,
for you guys.
so
Nice.
yeah.
that's seriously, we thrive on that kind of stuff. And in our Facebook group we do not have the time to give it the attention it needs right now. But what I was trying to do with that is, if you remember back in NASDAQ days, we would have these build threads that were giant. Like, it was so much, and Chase loved, like, he's so good with like writing down complicated things in a somewhat easy to understand way. And so
Mhm.
we had a lot of fun for a lot of years on NASDAQ running those build threads. Like, we want to make this. What do you guys want to see? And it was so
Yeah.
much fun, like in real time building engineering stuff together. I just loved that.
Yeah.
But NASDAQ's not really around, right? And so we were trying to find. I mean, it's there, but it's not super active. It's not something we can count on to bring
Yeah.
eyes. And so we thought of just Facebook group at this point was the next best option. Ideally, maybe when we have
Mhm.
more followers, we can have a group for each thing potentially. Like, hey, we want to build an AOS. Let's open this can of worms. Everybody join this group or whatever. And so the idea, though, is really this community building of these products, because I think that really it brings in some ownership to the community, or your idea could literally make it in this product. There's a good
Yeah.
chance, right? If it's something we haven't thought of, and we can't think of everything, right? We've
Yeah.
seen a lot of stuff, but we are humble enough to know that we don't have all the answers.
Yeah.
But I know with 400,000 people out there, we can think of some better stuff, or however many
Yeah.
thousands make it into a group, right? And so I would love to get back to a more active group. We don't have the time constraint right now of getting posts on there, but it will. And so that's a
Yeah.
priority of ours. So we would love to
I'm
hear
going to email
feedback.
you guys some ideas. Don't worry.
Please.
Don't
Hey,
email it. Go to the website and submit it,
Okay.
because then it
All right, I'll
automatically
submit
gets
it.
sent to the engineering document. We see it pop up in our spreadsheet in real time.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah.
I got you
Yeah,
guys.
Well, and I think it's worth commenting on what we touched on, which is like the foundational building of a new brand, because this to me is a great example. Sometimes you might spend 5 years of the company before you realize, hey, we should create some sort of repository for ideas for people to submit after you've been fielding these emails for 5 years. So day one on Overtake, we made a link. We also made a link for sponsorship. So instead of me having to answer emails, send you details, look through each individual thing, there's just a link for you to submit your car, your Instagram handle, a description of why you want to be sponsored, and then it all goes into a format that we can take a look at individually or as a team every single day or week. And so all of these, like, we have all these life hacks from our experience before, and I really think the product suggestion form is such a great thing that took us way too long with the other company to be able to do. And we just know, do it right away, get some good ideas, and really listen to the end consumer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I built Subaru mechanics 10 years ago when, I grew up around some old motorheads that were all Subaru guys. And every time I had a problem, you got to go on Naziok, you got to post it on there. You got to, and every time I'd go on there, it'd be a week later and there's no responses, or, you're reading through threads from 10 years ago and the guy doesn't even exist anymore. And so, I created the group because I knew that Facebook was more instant response and you were getting better feedback. Now it's grown to the point where like it's uncontrollable. I think at this point it's like it's really hard to get exactly what you're looking
Oh
for.
my gosh, I could talk about this for hours. We should talk.
Yeah. Well, so something I was going to say is that we created a Discord not too long ago, and the Discord is broken up so much better. You actually have like chat threads, almost like Naziog in Discord now. They did this update where like you could start a thread that says like AOS design, and then everybody can like comment their own bubble under it with like different ideas and stuff. And like, I just find it way better. And like, not just that, you can have voice chats where like once a week you hop in and people jump in and you can talk about it and stuff. And like, I just feel like it's way more interactive. But the Facebook group at this point, it's just one big, just,
Yeah, yeah.
good
I
conversation.
explored it a couple weeks ago, and as I refreshed, there'd be like 3 or 4 new posts, and I refreshed that 3 or 4 new ones. I'm like, holy shit, I can't keep up with this.
And the problem for us with 300,000 people is that like every time you add somebody to the group, it's pending. So the second you add them, their post gets posted. So
Right.
we get
That's fine.
we get like 2,000 people a day joining the group. So like they
Hats
end
off to
up
the
just,
moderators.
dude, it's crazy. And
Those guys are killing it.
what's
That's
so
right.
sad,
Working hard.
what's so sad is that I created this group to specifically avoid that problem. I think you guys, in a sense, have opened the floodgates to send us everything you got. So I think that opens
Get ready.
up.
That's why I said I might send you guys an email, but I'll send you guys
Yeah,
Yeah.
please submit that stuff. We'd love to see it.
I got some great ideas for you guys. Let's go.
Yeah. Have you guys thought anything about emissions and where that's heading? Because I feel that every manufacturer I deal with at the moment is being very careful, and it seems like they're all tiptoeing around it, and people are making changes. Especially when I was working with Ford, a lot of the tuner companies were just straight up disbanding their old tuners and just being like, we're going to a new setup, we're going to be emissions compliant. I know coming into the game now, you guys are pretty much fully emissions compliant with everything that you do. So like moving forward, I mean, I feel like it's almost a little bit easier than having products that aren't, and you have to kind of dodge that bullet,
Yeah, this is a big topic, and for some background. So APG, I think we still have the highest fine, and we did everything they asked for. I actually I sold in 2019, and during the sale process is like a year or so, and is a huge project, right? And part of that is if on their end, so APG's end, if anything happens, like legally, they have to tell me, like, because I'm thinking of selling to them. I have to know what I'm getting into. And so in the middle of due diligence, they came to me and said, "Hey, EPA just reached out." So this was like in the infancy, years
What?
prior to them getting fined.
Yeah.
They had to reach out, and it was an extra special deal because Grimspeed was the first manufacturer, right? Like we were the first of the group that was making our own stuff. Everybody else was just selling. They were just retailers or distributors, wholesale stuff. And so that was like a bad timing for them. They were bringing on a first manufacturer, and EPA just, showed up at their door. And so I got to be part of that team really early on, working with our attorney at APG, working with the EPA, and just the sheer insanity that the workload was to do that on this new chapter. One of my things was we're not doing anything EPA, at
Yeah.
least like initially, because I cannot handle first of all, we don't have the funding right now to get all EOs for everything and go to all the proper channels. We don't have the funding for that. We're getting to the point. But my first thought was stay away from that at the beginning, because that is that is a liability in a lot of ways.
Agreed.
And there are companies that are ignoring it. And you guys, I do not understand. There's some big name companies,
I know.
like some of the biggest, and it's
Yeah.
not just the big boys getting fined. It's small mom and pop shops getting fined. And I have these guys saying, "Justin, don't risk it. Don't risk it." And so we're
Agreed.
staying by that. We do have a plan to get EOs and all that stuff as these intercoolers and intake, all that stuff.
But it's really
It's a long process.
expensive, like you said.
It's super expensive. You got to send cars. So like for example, our two shop car or the VA and the VB anyways, we need to send those right to California or Detroit, probably to California.
Yep.
And they're going to have it for months. Like, okay, well, as a small business, that buying cars is not cheap. And then having them down with no engineering for 4 months is not ideal. And so it's expensive. We're going to do it, but we're going to do it the right way. We have a ton of people going, "Will you make a J pipe?" I got the biggest dealers in the community going, "Make me a J pipe." I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
From a financial standpoint, that would instantly free us up. Like we are barely making it right now, right? We're in infancy, like I said.
Yeah.
If we just made a J pipe
That was carb legal.
carb legal, or just
It'd be a game
anyone, and I
changer.
took on the risk of not caring,
Yeah.
our financial situation would instantly change. Like, because it's $1,300 product, we're going to sell thousands of them. Our little company gets transformed by that revenue to do a whole bunch of other cool
Overnight.
stuff.
Mhm.
Overnight,
Mhm.
we already have it designed. It's there. We're ready to do it. I just cannot put our team of 5 at risk. Like, I cannot risk our
Yeah.
jobs of just getting screwed by the EPA for this, or by
Good
not
for you.
following the rules.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's tough, but it's the right call. And so
It is.
frustrates me when I see these bigger companies. There's not a lot left, but there's companies still just not caring. And there are
Mhm.
US based companies. And so that's like really unfair. But we're just trying to do the best we can, taking the high road, playing by the rules, not shipping to California when we're not supposed to. So no dealers get in trouble. Just trying to do everything right. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'll give you a great example. We just came out with silicone EJ turbo inlets.
Yeah.
Like
I saw those. Yeah.
a few days ago, and
Mhm.
dealers have been gobbling them up. And every single California dealer, we've had to say, sorry, we cannot ship to you guys. We just can't do it. And same with customers. We went through the same thing with VA cast inlets, and I mean, those aren't even. I mean, switching out an inlet, is that going to make your car just blast exhaust out of the back? No, it's not going to do anything. But yet, we still have to abide by those rules because
I mean, transparently, we've installed unnamed silicone turbo inlets on multiple cars for a 2005 Outback XT that a 98-year-old woman drives.
Yeah.
Because her turbo inlet tore, and I think everyone knows the turbo inlets on the EJs are just made out of wet paper towels. So
Exactly.
they're terrible. And yeah, we tell her like, hey, for an extra, $50 or whatever, we can sell you this part, and it's lifetime warranty. Not trying to oversell, grandma, but you won't have this problem ever again, or any customer rather.
But because that part touches the intake system, then all of a sudden it's
It's
not EPA
not right.
compliant.
It doesn't
And
change
yeah,
anything to do. I always say famously, it doesn't even require a tune. It's like,
exactly,
what does a turbo
exactly.
inlet change? Nothing.
But I think the broader thing here to take into account is we get this question a lot: is why did you decide to make the products that you've made? What's in the future? Are you going to make X product, this, and this? And these are conversations we have every single day, every single week. We discuss this ad nauseum. And once you start peeling back the layers of why we did something or didn't do something, there's like a dozen reasons for every single thing. And so, yeah, there's no epiphanies when people talk to us and they go, "Hey, you should make exhaust product." It's like, we know we want to, and here's here's a spreadsheet of why we can't do that. And same
Yeah.
with larger products. If there's no EPA or compliancy issues, there's financial issues. I mean, we just talked about this, but I think it's worth bringing up. Those little plastic caps, right, for reservoirs, like those were some of my favorite GS products, because I always hated yellow caps. And it's like, you can do everything. You can have a
Agreed.
6-figure car, and then you still have yellow caps all over. So one of my favorite
Plastic,
products.
cheap pieces of crap.
Yeah. One of my favorite things was, and I still wanted the OE plastic feel versus like a billet unit. Because then, okay, you're spending, I get it. You can
Yeah.
spend $350, get a billet kit. But I always wanted a kit that was like 50 to $70, and they're just all blacked out with a company logo. That seems easy enough, right? But you start looking into it, and just the tool up cost, the design cost, the minimum order quantity, like you might have $50 to $75,000 into these stupid little caps that you can't sell for more than $70, and it could take you 5 years to break even on them. So as much as I want that product, I got to be realistic and go, there's no way we can make these, because we're not going to make a dime on them, and that's going to sink our
Sure.
company if we make too many of these decisions.
So I wanted to talk about a couple fun topics, some stuff that Dave and I have had going on with the podcast, and things that kind of relate to what you guys have going on. One of our biggest videos we ever put out, we had 100,000 people see this thing.
Wow.
I've been in the process of, like, I've been deep in the communities. I've been looking for the stories that nobody's covering and the things that have been just kind of overlooked. And one of those was this kid Neeraj, who we came across in a 3D printing forum. And he is creating his own Factory 5 car that he put a EJ engine in, and he's been 3D printing all of the parts for it. He 3D printed his own steering wheel coupler. He 3D printed a couple other items for it, things that he just couldn't find or didn't exist. He was just, coming up with ideas for making the item. And so we did a full episode on, he is attempting to be the first person to 3D print an EJ engine, the full block.
Wow.
And he has the design together, and he actually just told Dave and I that his professor for his master's degree told him that he's going to give him the credit for designing this engine and actually producing it. So
Yeah, what a nice incentive. That's incredible.
So not just that, he created his own 3D printer that's big enough to basically print a block. So he had to like this kid is just like 24 years old, like blowing my mind.
He custom built the whole thing.
And the thing that we found so amazing that we were talking about is, like, imagine, right, a future where you go to Boxer Fest and you have a lineup of 10 cars and they're all EJs, but every single block is different. Everybody gets to make the little changes that they want, and then they just 3D print it, and boom, you have a block that is an EJ, but it's altered the way that you want it. And so Dave and I have been following this story with him, trying to see where this is all going to pan out and how this is going to go. And I know you guys are big on 3D printing, so I wasn't sure if that's something that you guys have ever thought of, or what your take is on something like that coming out.
No, I think actually the first two people that come to mind are Chase and Owen, our two engineers. I mean, they could have a field day with this. I think it's a super interesting concept, and I kind of have more of a rudimentary knowledge of 3D printing. Right before the podcast started, I gave you an example. I've got a GD-STI project that I'm working on, and I've got a gauge, 3 gauges that I want to put into it, and I was going to go buy the gauge pod for on top of the dash, and then I went, why would I pay $180 when I can go print this at work tomorrow in like 3 hours? I can have a nice dense print that pops right into place, holds my gauges, and there you go. And I think that's just an example of where we're headed as enthusiasts. There's going to be a certain subset of product that you're just going to press enter on and print at home and be able to install the next morning in your car.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I don't, we're not quite there. And obviously, like engine blocks are way far removed from that. I don't see a future where you design and print an engine block and then go swap it in your car. But if you are really knowledgeable in that, you have an engineering background, I don't see why that can't be something that's more easily accessible to you in the future.
Yeah.
But yeah, it starts with like the small stuff right now. And
Yeah.
I've even thought of maybe this is a product idea where we charge for a 3D print that we send you the file and you print our product and use it for a fourth of the cost that it would take us to manufacture and sell to you.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and
Something-
you in Art. So of the five of us, Art and I are the least qualified to talk about this. That's for sure.
Mhm.
The other three guys are obsessed. Or we have a bamboo. It's so cheap now. It's even commercially, we're using a bamboo to do the things we need, right? I mean, it's crazy, $1,000. So Doug and Owen and Chase are just, that thing is printing all the time. It's crazy. It's constantly in the background printing all the time because we're just doing so much stuff with it. And so those guys really could talk your ear off with it, but we get to watch them just go to town with it. I mean, the material they're using for printing tubing, like when we're doing silicone or even if it's like the intercooler piping, stuff like that. We're doing this flexible tubing that actually moves. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah.
So I mean, from our end, from a product design company that's doing engineering, it's amazing. I mean, that the speed, even though I'm telling you we're slow as all get up, right? We've taken months out of the equation. And so
well, prototyping alone, you have to figure the accelerated rate which 3D printing has accelerated prototyping is exponential.
Yes.
You know, I would say it's almost like, dare I say, it's almost like the birth of the internet, you know, in some capacity from a manufacturing level. Because, well, the internet was great and all, and it gave manufacturing ability to share files, let's say. It wasn't what 3D printing is now and what it's done to manufacturing to be able to go, okay, we have this idea, let's just print it. And like you said, depending on the size of the part, the medium, you know, a lot of logistics, you can have a part in an hour, let's just say, you know, and even if it's not what you want to finally produce, you know, in whatever medium, you can verify certain things like fitment, dimensions, you name it. And that is just absolutely, you know, change the game, I guess.
It is a game changer. I think a perfect, let me give you an example of one of the parts that I think is something that we couldn't have done in the time frame that we did without 3D printing technology, which is the VA turbo inlet. You're talking about a cast aluminum piece. So you have to work with a foundry that creates the mold for this and then casts it. And once they do that, you have to pay for that original mold. So you can't just keep going back and forth because you're going to be bankrupt by the time you come out with it. So you design it, you 3D print it, you test fit, you change elements and dimensions and aspects of it. And then when you're completely sure, you tell the foundry to make their mold. And then you don't ever have to second guess yourself. So not only does that save money, but oh my God, the amount of time that saves.
Time and money. And I mean, I could get on board with the internet level changes to manufacturing 3D printing, because you're right. Like what, if you take research aside and just manufacturing, what did the internet, you know, compared to 3D printing, that is a drastic change. And let's run with a VA inlet, right? Like back in the day, you can't screw up. Like depending on what type of casting, let's just run with this product. Depending on what type of casting you're doing, your tooling might be $25,000, $40,000. You are not.
That's your whole business budget. Potentially.
So
you're out of business day one.
And so now we can screw
your
up.
design was wrong.
And so now we can screw up. Now it's making a better product because we might rev bump something like 5 times, right? Like it's like really quick and we can do those changes. So it's just phenomenal. I mean, the time, the cost.
Well, I was actually gonna tee you guys up because I saw a product that a lot of people were asking for that nobody has made because it's Japanese only, which
What's that?
is on the older Imprezas, the GD bodies, they have the dash covers. Normally the
Mm,
dash covers are like carbon fiber, or there's some kind of like dash cover, like a carpet kind of texture, but it covers the whole
mhm,
dash.
mhm,
But they only made it for the JDM models. And
mhm.
so when I was talking to Neeraj about it, he was saying it would be stupid easy if you could get one to scan it, get the dimensions of it, and then just flip the design and print it.
Oh, right.
And then you can make them for all the US ones, and it would just, it's like literally the one that people want is the carbon fiber one that literally is just this big cowl that you just put on the whole dash and it covers
Yeah.
everything. And that was something that I saw it posted, and a bunch of people were like, please, if they made a US version of this, I would buy it. Like, stuff like that is, you never know, you just come across it and it's like people want it.
These are conversations we've had along those lines. I think there's a treasure trove of JDM items that we all covet as enthusiasts. I mean, I could name like 15 Forester SG things that we didn't get stateside that I would kill for.
Yeah.
And that's one product idea that I brought up is let's get some rare JDM stuff and then do our either a copy and paste or our own version of it. I
Yeah.
mean, I remember growing up, one of the biggest flexes you can have is a GC or GD with the Spec C roof scoop.
Yep.
And if you find one on
Yeah.
eBay, they're like $1,800. It's insane. So
Yeah.
something like that. And I
If you're
since
lucky.
I think if you're lucky, I
Yeah.
have seen other companies that make them, like an aftermarket version. But I said, why don't we do that? Like that's so cool to me. And no EPA issues. I guess it
Yep.
falls into that category. But I mean, I could see a full Overtake JDM line of the rare stuff kind of revisited.
And I think you're going to see we have one product that 3D printing could be really fun with playing with the community. And so we'll probably keep that under wraps for a bit here until we figure out internally how we're going to manage it. But there's one product that would be really fun with to get different variations of it and work with the community to do that. And then have 3D printed versions, and you could swap things and that kind of stuff. So we in this realm, we have been working for months of how to kind of manage the flow of everything, all these moving pieces of how we do this. But we do have a part that we're going to kind of enter this realm with, just to have some fun with the community and make some cool stuff together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I have a request. Let's put a pin in this conversation. Not that I don't want to continue this topic, but I just think Chase and Owen would be so giddy to sit down with you guys and talk for like an hour and a half on just this type of stuff. And I
Yeah.
think that's something that people are going to want to see because you guys can get really technically in depth with those two, especially Chase. Like you can push on him, you can challenge him.
Two other things I wanted to touch on. I'm going to save the 3D printing stuff. I know that you guys have been big on, I know you talked a lot about ice racing and rally and a couple other areas. Someone else who's coming on the podcast in a couple weeks is Ethan Hunter. We've had him on before. This is a guy who he went up to Pikes Peak as a rookie and he got third place. Then
Wow.
from there, he went to Formula Drift, didn't really love it. So then he pivoted and he went to rally, and now he has the really rally team. On top of, he also races Pikes Peak and a couple other areas of racing.
Mhm.
So he just entered NA 4-wheel drive with his Subaru, and he just got third place this weekend.
Nice.
So, I know you guys have talked about, people in the community and looking for people to work with. I just wanted to throw it out there. Really cool guy, and
That's awesome.
he's got a great team. He's hitting all of the rally events this year. He's going to be going out to Michigan for Bonfire Alley. And so if you guys ever are looking for somebody to rock with, he's a really cool
Yeah.
guy, and he's got plenty of race cars. So
Well, that's awesome. I mean, I've been surrounded by race culture for as long as I've been interested in cars, and I kind of deviate towards the drift side of things. I love drift culture personally, and growing up, I used to always love rally with Subaru. It's one of the reasons I got into it. I
Yeah.
lived in Colorado for a while, and that's where I got my first 2.5 RS, and it was
That's awesome.
kind of inspired by some of that stuff that I was watching. And motorsport for us is super important. Justin, you can kind of hit on contingency program. We have a sponsorship program specifically segmented. We have the influencer program, your Instagram guys, your YouTube personalities, but we've made a race program for people exactly like that maybe are starting more at a low grassroots level and working their way up. Justin, you were one of the biggest proponents for doing this again.
Yeah,
Talk about it a bit.
and to me, this is kind of on the level of supporting events with Robert and Con. It's you do this to support the community. I I that in the early days of Grimsby when I started the contingency program, there wasn't like nobody else was doing it. Nobody small was doing it, right? Like
Mhm.
you got all the main big companies, I guess, are supporting Rally America at the time and ERA, and then but really nothing on the rally side, nothing for like rallycross locally, or if we want to go to autocross,
Mhm.
SCCA, NASA, that kind of stuff. Nobody was supporting those guys really at all, and so really early on, we can create the contingency program just to help out Joe Schmo
Yeah.
racing autocross in his 2.5 RS, right?
Mhm.
And that was really important for me, this go around with Overtake too, is to start that from the very beginning, and so that's really the biggest way we can support the race community is racing is expensive. Like if you are a racer, you are breaking stuff a lot. That's just how it goes. And so as we grow our catalog, we will have more parts that are breaking that you can replace them with. And if I could give that to you for free, by having a sticker on your car, great, right? Like that's
Yep.
going to help you continue to do your passion. That's going to give us a little bit of, we're not getting a ton of marketing, presence at some small town in Ohio autocross, but it's a little bit,
But
right?
that's R&D. Let's
Yeah,
be honest.
R&D. It's a little bit
Yeah,
of
yeah, that's fair.
marketing, but the big point is we're supporting these guys and being part of that. And so I can say legitimately, we are supporting this. We are putting our money where our mouths are. We are helping these guys. Yes, we're getting some marketing, maybe not a ton, because we're not sponsoring all the famous people it's
Yeah.
99% of the other people you have no idea who they are. Those are the guys we are sponsoring mainly, and we have some bigger sponsors.
Well, I
Well,
think
what better way to test the product out than to give it to someone for a season or multiple years and they drive their car hard through corners? Like, there's no better
Yeah.
R&D. We can't do that in-house on every product. We throw them on our daily cars and drive them around and make sure everything works. But yeah, they really put those products through the paces.
It's not a rally course, obviously,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
these guys are they're doing things that, like you said, we can't do on the streets. We just can't do on the
Exactly.
streets. And
exactly.
so, yeah, it's really good feedback from a brand a standpoint to be able to go, hey, we're really committed to pushing our products to that level.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
I think too, like when you look at Grid Life as an example, a lot of those people are sponsored. Their cars are covered in brands. And I think that even if you back them, right, like you kind of get lost in the sauce a little
Hmm.
bit. And I think that
Mhm.
that kind of shows like when your sticker is on a car that has 100 other brands on it, like, how much is your brand contributing to them winning? And I think when you start with something more grassroots, that's where you get a little bit more of that, like, man, this company or this racer's doing really well, and he's only working with one or two companies. So I was just
Yeah.
going to show you guys here. This is a picture of,
Yeah.
Ethan's car.
Oh, hell yeah. That's awesome.
Nice.
So he, I don't know what is going on here.
So we need
I'm gonna
Ethan to go sign up for our contingency program. So at least start making some money from us.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we have guys that have been running all season. They've got $1,500+ in overtake credit, and so they're really racking up the money. And when we come out with some larger stuff, the intakes and the intercoolers, they're going to get those parts for free because they've racked up the credits through racing.
Yeah, this is great. Great picture. That's a sweet setup.
Something that Dave and I always wrap up on, and something that we ask every guest that we've had, is Dave and I, when we started this podcast, had one mission, which was we were going to fill his Subaru Baja with canola oil and see how long it would drive. And we have done that. It has been filled with canola oil, and we get everybody's take on how many miles they think it'll go till it explodes. So,
and before you speak, I'll give you guys a current update. It's about 700 miles in.
Oh, it's really? I was going to guess like 7, not 700.
yeah.
So
More
it's
than
still going?
We're so okay. So for context, when we first started the podcast, we did research and found out that warships in the 1950s used to run on canola oil. It's about a 5W10 weight. So
Okay.
and so we were like, okay, like let's wing it, see what happens. Dave went to the store. He got some Crisco bottles, filled the Baja with it. Baja's got like 200K on it, and it has no metal in the oil. The thing is running mint as is.
Not knocking.
That's 700 miles in. That's incredible. But I will say,
Now,
okay,
I will preface, we don't drive it long distance. It's a shop vehicle. So the maximum distance it gets driven is about like 50, maybe 60 miles at a time.
that's still a lot. That's impressive. I'm genuinely impressed by
And
that.
highway too. We take it to the dealer all the time. The
Yeah.
dealer still
And-
can't believe it's still running. The dealer
Yeah.
knows about it. We pick up parts from it every now and then,
Yeah.
and we have to drive it there. And they're like, the Baja's still running?
And I told Dave, if this works, this is like a $10 oil change. I was like, this would save everybody
It was,
so
actually.
much money.
It was about like $12.
Oh, no.
It sounds like we need to do that with the ice racer. That's a new shtick for the ice racer.
Maybe. Yeah, we have a 03 Bug-Eye wagon as our ice race build, and maybe we'll run on
man.
canola oil. Yeah. No, I had
It's working.
I had an 04 NA Forester that it was just my beater car, and I would check oil in that thing maybe every week, and it was never on the dipstick, and it felt like I would add and like multiple quarts, and it still wouldn't reach the dipstick. And eventually I just stopped adding to it. I don't think that thing had oil, and it still ran until I sold it to the next guy. So
my
these EJs, man, some of them just refuse to die.
Yeah.
Especially the single overheads.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
So
that's wild.
They're tanks,
you know,
dude.
I told Dave when Boxer Fest was happening, I was like, let me fly out there and drive it to Boxer Fest because it's like 1,700 miles.
God.
It would have been amazing. But yeah, so right now
That's
we're
impressive.
at 700 miles.
Okay.
We're gonna take it to 3,000 and then we'll check it in and we'll figure out what we're gonna do from there. But
We've had a lot of other fun suggestions of what to put in next if it survives.
Oh, right.
We'll see.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But what do you guys think? Will it make the 3,000 or what?
I think it will. I had no faith going into this conversation, but when you told me it's done 700 miles with no problems, it's going to 3,000.
So are you replacing with new canola? Are you doing canola oil changes yet, or just one?
This is
No,
the
no,
first
so
one.
We haven't
gotten
decided
there.
that. We're just going to do 3,000 miles on canola oil and see what happens.
And you're checking
Now,
the
if
oil.
it makes it to 3,000, we have not decided on whether or not we're going to change it because we've had some
Yeah.
other. Someone commented on the post about Crisco. I was like, I don't think that's going to work. It's too sugary. You don't want sugar
Right.
to crystallize.
One thing that I think you guys at the end of this can go viral on is, you always have like your oil reservoir when you empty it out, it fills in there. If you get a frying pan and you empty into that, and then the next scene is you on your stove doing pancakes or something, and
Yes.
you take a bite of canola oil pancake from your Subaru.
3,000-mile canola oil, using it to cook on.
Well,
I
our
won't
best.
lie. Actually, to your point, Art, I thought about this the other day. I was almost going to take a video with the Meta Ray-Ban glasses that I had, pull out the dipstick, and show it still full. Hasn't lost any oil.
I would have thought it
And
would have burned
actually
it
lick
off.
it.
But
And just lick it.
Now, one thing we are going to do, which
Hey,
we
maybe let us
attested
know
to,
down in the comments if you think I should lick the dipstick.
yes.
Yes. I mean, there's
so-
probably a 1%, actual engine oil still, left in there, residual. So we'll see.
You'll survive.
we when we hit 3,000 miles, we're going to take a sample and we're going to send it to Blackstone and see what
Yes.
they say. So
Yeah. It's just
I
hilarious.
really
This
hope
is
Blackstone's
canola
not
oil.
following this podcast because I want to send it to them. I'm not going to tell them anything.
No.
I'm not going to say anything about the oil. I'm just going to send it in and just see what
Yeah.
they say.
yeah, this is
That's
this
hilarious.
is a Baja 200,000 miles on it, and they're like, "What is happening here?"
They're like, this oil's fine. You should probably change it a little bit more regularly, but it looks good.
Yeah. No, I
Maybe,
always thought
and not to knock Blackstone, maybe we just dispel Blackstone as being relevant and actually like verifiable. If they
That's
come
what I'm
back and say
saying.
the Crisco brand, for anyone who's questioning, Crisco brand,
If they say it
It's-
specifically.
it's fine. Either Crisco brand's fine or Blackstone's a lie.
Yeah.
Those are the two inevitabilities.
Hey, I'm all down for $10 oil changes if I can prove it. I'm down.
Oh no. The really scary thing is if you prove that it works, then that means we've essentially been eating motor oil this whole time.
Well,
I'm okay with that.
this is the big difference. It's not petroleum based. So I
Okay.
think but the thing with Crisco is it does have a 200-degree boiling temp. So it's never boiling, which is good. So we
Yeah.
have that going for us. Now freezing temp, I don't know yet. We haven't figured that
We're
out.
heading into our first winter, so we'll
Oh,
see.
no.
First winter. Although, technically, all our cars, when we shut down for the night, all our cars get pulled in for the night. So the Baja, and actually I shouldn't say that. Technically, the Baja sometimes stays outside.
So we'll find
Ooh.
out. Yeah.
We'll find out.
It may not be the oil running that kills the cars. We'll find out.
And you haven't
Yeah,
lost
that's wild.
any yet. It's not. There's nothing. It's still as full as when you originally filled it up.
It hasn't lost
Yeah.
any oil, right?
It still
It's
hasn't lost
yeah.
any.
Yep. No, I haven't had to add any, top it off at all. Hasn't consumed any. And that's the scary part. It hasn't done anything abnormal. Although my one employee pointed out, he's like, it smells really interesting from the tailpipe. And so
Yeah.
I had to check it. And I was like,
This is the solve.
actually, it kind of
like,
smells good.
I'm burning.
I don't know how or why, but it smells really good out the tailpipe.
Mm-hmm.
I'm burning a quart a month. We have your solution.
Yeah.
Canola.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, keep us posted on the 3,000 miles. I definitely want to know.
Yes.
what the result
We're
is.
Yeah.
trying to keep everyone tuned. I'm hoping by the end of or before the new year, we're on pace actually right now to hit 1,000. So I think that's going to be a good metric. Be like, hey,
Thank
New
you.
Year's, we've hit 1,000 miles. Can we hit 2,000 more?
I got faith.
Yeah.
I do too.
So, I just wanted to throw that at you guys. I know that's
Yeah.
kind of a curveball, but
Wasn't expecting that, but I love it.
but hey, maybe you guys can design canola oil filters. That's all I'm saying.
An AOS that runs.
Can you make
And
me
then-
a
yeah.
canola oil
Canola
AOS that
oil.
recycles canola oil back into my engine? Yeah, we'll talk.
Yes.
Dave, you got to put one on there and put the Crisco sticker on it. Perfect.
Oh my
Oh my
God, I
gosh.
didn't think about that. I need to get a Crisco sticker now. I'm gonna look that up.
Yeah, you're branded now.
Thanks, Pat.
Well, I cannot thank you guys enough for coming on. This has been amazing.
Yes.
I mean, I've just been a fan of your products for years, and so it's really like full circle to have you guys on here and like be able to sit down and talk. So, both of us are super excited to see where Overtake goes, and I think that a lot of us are talking about the big performances and stuff like that because I think we're just excited to see where this is going, and I think a lot of people are excited and just can't wait to see the outcome of these products and another 10, 15, 20 years of Justin Grimm killing it out here. So I think that that's just kind of how things are going. And honestly, the Subaru community is alive. So I think that you guys are going to have a lot of success and a lot of people that are going to stick with you. And I love everything you guys have been doing so far with the community. And I think Dave and I are just excited to possibly have you guys back on in the future if you guys have more time and talk more. So.
Of course, and I gotta say, the community is alive and thriving because of guys like you and what you're doing. I mean, you're putting in, right, over the last decade, growing the pages and putting in all this work, and I mean, you've got your regular lives and jobs and new kids happening, and you're still devoting time to sitting with guys like us for a few hours, shooting the shit about Subaru and canola oil and everything.
Yeah.
And so we're thankful to be here because I brought this point up in the past is before day one of Overtake, our biggest fear was when we get to day one, what if nobody cares? What if no one wants to have us on podcasts? Nobody buys a product. Nobody gives a shit what we're coming out with next. And now we're talking about 5, 10, 15 years later down the line with you guys. Like, this is a huge deal for us. So it's all from our end. We could not do it without people like you. And I'm so looking forward to 5 years from now revisiting this video, hopping on another one. I mean, we'll definitely talk before then, but just like man, you look back at where you started and where you made it, and that's the best part. Like you have to go through it to appreciate it, and we're
Yeah.
going through it right now.
And we just feel
Well,
like we're home. We feel like we're back home. And Art and I were both out for a few years, and it really feels like we're home. That's what I keep telling everybody. And the welcome home that we got from everybody was truly like awesome. Like we're here. They remember, and we're just gonna pick up where we left off. And we had a rough story there, and we're trying to fight back and bring it all back together and come back to our home. And we're just truly thankful to be around. That's the end of the story, and to get to
That's
do
right.
this. So thank you for having us, for asking us to come on here, and we'd love to come back anytime.
yeah,
So
of course. And
yeah.
Dave and I look forward to having a beer next Boxer Fest and seeing what else you guys have at that
Yes,
time. So,
of course.
The
we'll
Subaru community
definitely,
knows who is part of itself.
Mhm.
yeah. So we'll definitely get to see you guys in person then, and we'll talk more. So,
Heck
but
yeah.
yeah, let's hook up in the future. And Dave, I think that's a wrap. So thanks for coming on, and we'll see you guys again.
Love it. Thanks, guys.
Thanks. See ya.
Thank you.